Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do I have to let people in?
No, they should just see Julie Carroll's already in there.
Okay.
Like.
All right.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, good. We'll wait a couple minutes here as it's not actually 10 yet. All right, it's 10. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like there's just going to be the three of us as of right now, unless somebody jumps on here with us. So I will make this as intimate as possible. Why don't you guys jump on and tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the business and why you came to take this class. Why don't we start with you, Rachel?
I have had my license for 30 days today.
Wow, congrats.
Thanks. I already have my first listing and a buyer appointment next week. So I'm excited to take this class and make sure that my pricing strategy and everything is going to be good for this first listing.
Cool. Who helped you with pricing your listing, or did you just do it yourself?
My mentor, Daryl.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Julie?
Hi, so I have been licensed for 3 years. And Rachel, first I want to say congratulations. I am very impressed and wow, that's awesome. I'm curious how you got your listing so quick. So I am actually working with my first listing. All my activity to date has been with buyers. I find pricing a home rather intimidating. I've taken CMA classes, I've read it, but it's a tough one, and I'm looking to develop that skill. So anyway, I'm working with a potential listing right now, and one of the other quagmires for me is kind of just the whole paperwork process too on that listing agreement. I feel like we have a lot that covers purchase contract, but very little that covers the actual paperwork with a listing. And those in real estate, those little details make or break. They have a lot of impact. So,
well, thank you. Are you working with a mentor?
I am not working with a mentor.
Okay. So, Rachel, I think Daryl's great, and that's awesome. I will say that I'm not gonna go off of the course material that KW gave me. It didn't really feel like it was helpful. And what I'm gonna teach you guys today, and you're probably gonna have questions. You're probably not gonna get it all in one Zoom call, because this, in my opinion, is the most important part of what we do as a real estate agent. And so I'm going to teach you, there's no silver bullet for pricing a house. And that's good and that's bad. I think this is fun, because it's really, you have to dig in and figure out why. Now, there are some neighborhoods that are 100% homogenous, where you go into a production neighborhood and it's cookie cutter house, and they all look the same. But you get out in the country and now you've got to factor in acreage and, does it have a walkout basement? How much do you give credit for the walkout? Because it's technically a basement and it's not above grade. So are you going to give the price per square foot the same weight? But it's finished and it's walkout. So some appraisers will give it, like, well, is it half of what the taxable square footage is? And then what are the finishes like? So there is no, like, here's exactly how to do it. And I think that that's probably why there's not more education, is because it's not the Zestimate, that Zillow uses is, what so many consumers get hung up on. And I tell people it's a Zestimate, it's not the price. There's no way that Zillow knows that their kitchen caught on fire last week and there's no appliances, and it's still going to give them the same Zestimate as if they had completely gut rehabbed the entire house and it's all brand new and it's beautiful, and the house next door was built in the 80s and it's got wood paneling and Formica countertops. There's no way to tell that until you're in there. So that's really what, there is no, well, here's exactly what the price is. So it's more of a learning how to think. So let's go ahead and dive in. I don't have a strict lesson plan. More so, I want to just kind of show you how I would price a house. So, Julie, let me ask you, where's your listing located? You don't have to give me the address. Let's do a ballpark so we can kind of help you, because I'd like this class to also be able to help you guys, with whatever you're working on right now.
Well, fantastic. And so to add to that, so I also am representing a buyer who we met, a seller kind of when we were looking at another listing, and there's somewhat of they're definitely a for sale by owner, but they are not educated in the process. So I'm handling both sides of the transaction.
Oh, that's fantastic. So that FSBO, what's the address?
On that FSBO, it's 1329 Eveline Drive. And
spell that for me.
Eveline is EVALINE Drive, and that is Columbus 43224. And then my other new prospect in Westerville is 673 Woodbend Drive.
Okay.
Woodbridge, Westerville 43082.
Say Woodbridge?
Woodbend.
Okay.
So 673 Woodbend Drive, Westerville 43082.
All right. Well, let's start with Eveline, because when I was trying to prep for this yesterday, I started looking at FSBOs, because 90% of for sale by owners fail. Now, in this market, that's not. It's probably less of a percentage. And the main reason that for sale by owners don't sell is because they don't know how to price. and they might just reach, and they might go on Zillow and go, oh, well, Zillow says my house is worth this. That sounds good. Let's go ahead. And then they don't know how to market, and then they don't have access to MLS. And so, that's why when you're getting started in real estate, and Rachel, this is, good info for you too, is, your coaches will tell you to go after for sale by owners, canceled and expireds. So because those people want to sell their house, but it's either not selling or they couldn't sell it, and you've got to figure out why. And I would say a high percentage is because they didn't price it correctly. So let's jump in here and let me see. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And so the first thing that I do is I go to the MLS and I go, so let's start with Eveline. So I'm going to go 1329. Okay, so that sucks. So am I spelling that correctly?
My glasses on. Yes, 13. Yeah, it does come up, so I don't know why it's not. So 1329 Eveline Drive. There is a history in the MLS for it. I've definitely been able to. It's EVALINE, just like you had it. I've had some really weird stuff in that particular search bar. Sometimes I do better when I don't know why, but the last few days I could not access some addresses on either recently that I know are in the system.
So let's go here. Oh. Is there an address? There we go. What happened? It said there were 3 and now it disappeared.
Yeah.
Did I do something different? All right, let's see. That would be 1329 right there, I would think.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Or, well, maybe not. So,
I think I had been just putting it in that top search bar, not the one that you went to first, but the one at the top of the list.
Right there?
Well, that one's been whacking out. I mean, lately you can try it again.
Yeah.
For some reason, like I was trying to pull something up on Matthew Drive and it kept giving me real estate names instead of, so, but like when you go to the top of this, on the left where it says, there's that first bar up the top. I think I had been putting it maybe in there when you scroll.
Here?
No, to the left.
Oh, okay.
Like of all that criteria when you scroll all the
Where
way.
you put in all of your search.
Here.
Yeah, that's where I've been doing it, I
Okay.
think. For some reason, I think it works a little better. And then the Eveline.
Let me. Oh, come on. Sorry. Yeah, it's and you said it did come up on your MLS search?
Yeah. In fact, let me see if I can just do it on my phone or something. Let's see. That's really odd. Because it has a past history of unless I'm getting confused with auditor. And maybe I'm.
So
it's been so I've been actually working on this for a couple months. We are in contract, but it's so maybe I messed that up, but let me pull it on my phone. Yeah, so okay, so I'm not showing it there. So there, if I just put Eveline, or the name of the neighborhood is called Clinton Estates.
I saw that. So
I used the comps from there, although it didn't catch every single comp because a few times the listings weren't flagged as Clinton Estates by the listing agent, but in general it was pretty comprehensive.
okay, well, let's do Woodbine Drive then, because it's coming up here, so we can hopefully go a little get on track here, since it was difficult trying to find Eveline. So
sorry about that. Yeah,
if you know, I mean, it's not your fault. And I saw that it transferred in 2003. I'm not sure when we started putting everything in the MLS. So that could be why it's not coming up, because the last transfer was.
And actually that was through an inheritance. So so that sale was a transfer, not a sale by the realtor.
Okay, well then that's why it's not coming up in the MLS.
Okay.
And you're gonna have times where that happens, and that's something that you should know as well. But for the general, pricing strategy, I go to the MLS first. Yes, would I have just grabbed the neighbor's house and start using that? Yeah, but now we've got one. We're going to just use Woodbine. And have you already priced this?
I have a general idea of what I would want to price it at, but I haven't put it in, and I have discussed it with the buyer.
Okay.
But I haven't, it's not 100%.
Perfect. Well, then let's use this. Don't tell me what you think your number is. I'll tell you what I think my number is, and we'll see how close we are. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I do is I go to the last closed transaction, and I see, it closed in 2011, and it was $240,000. All right. That means nothing to me right now, but if it had closed a year ago, 2 years ago, I'm assuming this is going to be significantly higher priced. So the first thing that I do, and I'll tell you, I run my own algorithm when I'm pricing a house. And we're going to go through that right now. So the first thing that I do is I go to the MLS, and I come in here and I click on this tab right here, and that says AVM. And what the AVM stands for is average variable multiplier. So this is CoreLogic doing a Zestimate, if you will, using the data that we give CoreLogic because of everything that we do in the MLS. So what they're doing is the Zestimate, or the AVM, is 368,800. Okay, so I'm going to write that number down. And generally, when I'm kind of old school when I do pricing. I usually print these pages off. I'll go ahead and print, and then I'll highlight on here. I'm just going to create a PDF, and I'll save it. Let's go to my desktop here, because I want to remember that number. The other thing is I look here and I go, well, what's the value range? And then I look at the confidence score, which is, this site is saying, yeah, we're pretty sure that this is the price. So 78 is a pretty high confidence score. So I'm gonna trust this estimated value. Now I'm not done. So this is more of like a trust but verify. So this is the first number that I run. Then what I've started to do, which I didn't do in the past, is I go in here and I get the other type of, I hate to use the word Zestimate, but like a computer generated valuation is the RPR. And that number is 367, 390. Okay. So now we've got the AVM of 368 and the RPR of 367, 390. Those numbers are pretty close together. So it's probably pretty accurate. So we'll go here. I'm going to print this page because I'm old school. And then I'll save it as a PDF. The other thing that it does is it gives you some comparables here and shows you why it came up with that number. So another good tool there. Now I'm going to go, okay, this is Westerville, and I'm going to work macro to micro. So the most important thing when selling any house is school district. So I always use school district as my filter. So I can see this is Westerville schools. So I'm going to go in here now and I'm going to go quick search. Come on. And you guys feel free to chime in and ask questions if you have any while I'm doing this. Okay, so then I'm going to go down to closed, subtype, single family freestanding, school district, Westerville. All right, so Westerville's huge. It encompasses, I think, 3 zip codes, maybe 4. So there were 1,243 homes that sold in the last 12 months. And so then that's a huge number, but I don't care. I want to see what the average price per square foot in Westerville schools were. So I clicked on CMA, which brings up this menu, and I'm going to go one line CMA. This is going to take a minute because there's so many houses. And then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. It's going to take me a while to get there. Stay with me. I know this is boring. And as you can see, we're pulling in Highland Lakes, which are, some of those houses are huge. Hills and Dales, like you're getting a super macro Westerville. You're getting all types of houses here. But I'm just trying to educate myself. Sometimes I skip this step if I really know the area. And the most important thing about pricing too is knowing the MLS, knowing, my areas of focus, I can pretty much price them without doing all of this, just because I know an area and what's it look like inside. Is it updated? Is it not updated? Okay, it's probably worth about, X. But before I actually put a house on the market, I will do this. And I will also do this for my buyers to try to educate them before putting an offer on a house, because you don't want them to overpay. I know that's hard to say in this market right now, but again, this is a huge list, so I Apologize for how slow this is going. Do you guys know how I got here? Go ahead and chime in if you.
So Jensen, are you looking at the last 90 days?
I'm looking at the last 12 months.
Okay.
So now, there were 1,243 houses in this report.
Okay.
Average square foot was 2,000. So I would go back to look at, sorry, I gotta move this here. Did we not? I can just look at this page. Okay, so the subject property has 2704 is the taxable square footage, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's the magic number that we're going to use is that 27. All right, then I'm going to come back here. And so the average square footage in all of Westerville was 2,000. And our subject property is 2704. So we're not really that far off. So we're going to look at this number right here. This is the number that I'm looking at, which is, so I'm going to go Westerville schools, and I'm writing this down. And I'm going to call this my macro number. And that is 153.99. Okay. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply 153.99 times 2704. So that gives me 416,388. All right. So now we're done with that guy. That's our macro number. And I wrote that down. So now I'm going to go back to Woodbend. And I'm going to go, okay. No, come on. Millstone Creek. That's the subdivision that it's in.
Yes.
So now I'm going to go back. Same thing. But now we're going to call this micro. Sorry, I apologize for the slow internet here at the office. All right, we're going to go back in. Closed. Subtype. Single family freestanding. School district, Westerville. And what did we call it? What was it? Millstone?
Millstone Creek.
Millstone Creek. And I put that school district on there because there's probably a Millstone Creek subdivision in Hilliard or something. So this helps me filter it out. All right. So now there were 16 houses. This is going to make it so much easier, right? We're dialed in. So we got the macro number, which was, you know, almost 2,000 houses. And now we've got the micro. So we're going to go back up here to CMA. I'm going to use this one line CMA. And now the average square footage, 2607. we're very homogeneous as in the square footage because the subject property is 2704. Days on market were 17. Here's where the original list price to the sold price is. So, but this is the only number we're going to pay attention to. It's the 148. So we're going to go Westerville. I'm going to write this down. Westerville Schools Micro, which is also, you could also call it subdivision. And that's 148.46. Then we're going to go back to our calculator. We're going to go, okay, 148.46 times our subject property square footage of 2704. And now it's 401,435. Okay, so now we've got our AVM number is 368,800. Our RPR is 367,390. Our Westerville Schools macro number is 416. Our Westerville Schools micro number is 401. So right now I'm already thinking, I already think I know what the price is, but we're going to keep going. Now what I'm going to do is, since Millstone Creek is going to be the most probable of comparables, I'm going to look at these houses. Now, tell me about the subject property. Is it a true 2-story? Is it a 1-story? Is it a split level?
It's a true 2-story with an unfinished basement.
Okay.
It is also in Millstone Creek. It is considered a carriage home, so they pay a monthly fee to have all of the lawn maintenance taken care of in the front of the home, and they have a fenced smaller patio, and that's the only area they're responsible for.
Okay. So
not every home in that subdivision is a carriage home.
Okay, so it's a carriage. And so the carriage means it functions kind of like a condo. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So we want to, and as I'm showing you this here,
I lost audio.
So did I.
Okay, I hear you, Rachel.
Yeah, I hear you, but for me, he's frozen and no audio.
Huh. Now I just got a thing saying you are the host now. I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah, I got something that said you're the host. I guess we're co-hosting this show now.
Well, while we're waiting, how did you get your listing? That's fantastic.
Thank you. I am very much a people person. My I guess career before real estate, I'm an EMT.
Okay.
So I am used to dealing with all types of people in all types of situations.
Wow.
So I have no problem putting myself out there. I just got my first 1,000 business cards, through the brokerage, and I've already handed out over 60.
Good.
And I was able to convert one of those into a lead, and turned it into a listing appointment. Honestly, she said, she had started to work with another agent and didn't mesh well with that agent.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and she's like, I love your personality. I would love to work with you. And I said, okay, let me get some paperwork.
Wow. So was
Um,
somebody like a stranger you just happened to, meet like at the grocery store or something?
She was kind of an acquaintance.
Okay.
Like my son plays with her grandson.
Okay.
So it wasn't, it's not like we were close friends, but
Yeah.
kind of in my sphere. Um,
Fantastic.
and then I don't know if you do this. I know for me, my buyer appointment, I was out to dinner and ended up just talking to somebody and got it. But I keep 4 or 5 buyer packets and the same with listing packets in a Filofax folder in my car, so that on the fly, if somebody, wants to set up an appointment, great, we can do that. And I'm going to, I can sign you now if we have time or whatever. So
Yeah.
I found that helps.
Okay, that's awesome. Wow, you are awesome. I'm just so impressed with your confidence, Rachel. That's great. Yeah, good for you. You should feel really
Honestly,
good about that.
well, I'm very excited, but honestly, it is not all confidence. In medic school, we learned how to be the duck, which means you can be freaking out on the inside, and I usually am, but you have to be confident on the outside. And I mean, in that field, kind of stoic on the outside.
Yeah,
You never let them see you, working like crazy and breaking a sweat.
right, right. Yeah, very cool. Are you back, Jensen? I see you.
Your audio's off, though.
All right, I'm back.
Yay.
Yay. Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks to our Wi-Fi here at the office. I lost where we were. Okay, so we're back, and where were we? So we
We have our macro and micro numbers.
and we were talking about so the way you think about a house. So people that like split levels, some people hate split levels. So if you can, in my opinion, you cannot compare, if possible, a 2-story to a split level. The same way that you can't compare a 2-story to a 1-story. If you know anything about building, it's always more expensive to build a ranch. It's cheaper as you go up. Because you have to fit all your square footage in that one level. So it's not as expensive. You don't have another foundation. You don't have, it's always cheaper to go up. So a 2-story is not usually, the price per square footage is less than a ranch. So I always think about that when I'm going to price a house. I will never use the comp, even if the next door house was a split level and it sold yesterday. I'm not going to use that comp against a 2-story. So that's why I'm just kind of looking at the style here and going, the only 2 stories are we going to use for comparables. Now you've given me more information by saying that, well, it's a carriage. So now we have to look at these houses and go, well, which one of these were carriages? So what I want to do in my pricing strategy is I now want to go into the list view here and go, okay, what are the 3 best comps that compare to the subject property? So this one looks pretty similar. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to see 2408. Is this a carriage?
It looks like it's in that area, and then but their HOA fee now. So he's paying 65 monthly. I have to do the math. It sounds like it comes out to about that annually. There's not really a designation in the listing for that. I don't know if the realtor has any notes on it, but Center Park is extremely close.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm not seeing anything that calls it a carriage, but it does look very similar to the subject property, correct?
Yeah, and I know sometimes something on MLS will say distance. I guess maybe that's more in the CMA. It'll say like distance to the subject property.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. And there's also in this Millstone Creek different phases. This is
Mm-hmm.
phase 2, but that's not in the MLS. That
So we can
you know,
always
that's
go
the
over here to
auditor
map.
side. Yeah,
And
but the you know, some of the homes are definitely a different style. This is kind of a newer, more contemporary, probably more appealing to like executives, where you have the older, more family. Not that these aren't family, but you know what I mean.
right. Yeah. No, I get it. All right. So, and our property address is.
So how did you just populate that so fast?
What?
That map 673 Woodbend is the property.
Yeah, I wrote it down now. So I clicked on map
Okay.
and I zoomed in.
Okay.
And so now I can see, and this is all of, right now,
Okay.
this is the 16 houses that sold in the subdivision
Okay.
in the last 12 months.
Great. Okay.
So,
okay. And if I could ask on the comps, so Dela had been telling me to just be using comps that were really within 90 days, and then maybe going back 6 months. And Hunger had said because that's what the auditor will use. So for your price to assess. So she told me to stop going back as far as a year. So I am just curious what your thoughts are on that.
my thoughts are that my pricing strategy has been working for me. I've been in the business for 13 years and I've sold lots of houses. So I do use my brain.
Yeah.
I don't use a catch-all CMA. You can see how, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of teaching you guys how I think about a house. Obviously,
Okay.
I'm leaning on you, which I think is very helpful to tell me more about the subject property. But this is kind of a guide now. So in regard to what they are saying, yes. So now the next thing I'm going to look at is, okay, so we're looking at Woodbend, right? So let's see where,
With that, yeah.
so Mill Crossing, there's Woodbend. So yeah, we're close to Woodbend. I mean, by proximity, and it looks like it functions. But so the next thing I want to look at is down here. When did it sell? It sold in December 13th.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lot. That's okay. So now, and this is another thing that you have to adjust in your thinking.
Yeah.
Was it pre-COVID, post-COVID? Was it in the middle of COVID? Because that all is going to play into this. 65 days on market. And they came off their price by about approximately 10 grand. So the showing start date was 9/7.
Okay.
And it sold in December.
Okay.
So they went into contract they were on the market for 2 months.
Right.
So that makes me nervous. Why were they on the market for 2 months? I mean, 19 was a good year, and I was still selling houses in, September last year. I had a crazy September. Okay. So why didn't this sell? So that's the next thing we're going to look at. What took it so long to sell? So let's look at the photos. Man, I don't know. Looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Gray walls, white cabinets, photography, not terrible. I mean, I would have used a wider angle lens, but I mean, like, what you buying this little ornament on the coffee table? Or you buying a house?
Right.
But this is a good photo, So I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, so is this a good comp? How does this compare to the subject property?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say it's a good comp. I think it's a very good comp. And, now I don't know because I don't have that, but for that September of 2019, I thought that it was a little bit less of a, for that price point, wasn't quite as hot as like below 300,000.
Yeah.
Were you seeing that? Um,
I mean, I still think we had a terrible inventory deficiency. So I don't know why this house took so long to sell. But I think it's a good comp, and I think we should use it. So
okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go comp 1,
Okay.
and I'm going to say 336. And I'm going to say, and this I'm writing down 65 DOM just for my own knowledge as I'm trying to tell a story as to why it took so long. So let's look at this one here. This looks like another, this one's smaller. This one's smaller, but it sold in 5 days. And it got full asking price in 5 days. Let's look at the photos of this. And this is what we're doing. We're really going, well, how does this property compare? Cute. It's got a little, looks like it has a more open floor plan than the last one. But I mean, still has, the appliances don't match. Cabinets are wood color, not white, which people tend to like white better. The photos are fine, but they're not amazing. Sorry, just so you guys know, I'm a photographer as well, so I tend to be a little cheeky. So finished basement, but a very meh finish to it. Drop ceiling. But if we look at when did it sell, it sold in July. So that's where we're at. And that's, so I'm just going to use that for right now. And I reserve the right to strike the first one if I find a couple more that are better, and then because that one sold in 19, back to Dayla's comment of, well, just go back 90 days. Well, yeah, that's easy to say, but it's not always possible. So that's why I don't, I go back and I try to tell a story. What happened? Well, what happened is the price has clearly gone up, because this house got 20,000 more than Center Park, and it's significantly smaller. So let's see. Let's just look at this guy. So 2560. This is a 3-car garage. Does the subject property have a 2-car or a 3-car?
2-car.
Okay.
It's like an oversized 2-car.
Yeah, this sold for 360, 25 days on market. Let's keep looking.
Which honestly, now with COVID, a lot of people are getting into buying kayaks, paddle boards, things like this, and having a place to store them. Because in Westerville, we live near the lake. So it's very easy to put our equipment into the lake. So this is also now becoming attractive to have an oversized garage to be able to still fit your cars and get your toys in.
Yep, 100%.
I agree with that. That's where I go kayaking.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this one's a split level, so I'm not going to use that one.
Now, even the 5-level splits, are they?
Yep. I mean, you can get more house in a 5-level split, but your price per square foot is totally different.
Okay.
So, I'm just not going to use it as a rule of thumb. This one is this. So the last comp we used was this one here. Correct. Okay. So, but it is not a 2-story. So I'm actually going to cross that off because I didn't recognize that was. So that's why the price per square foot was higher, was because it was all one level. So whereas our first comp was a 2-story. So gonna go down here. This is a 5-level split. This one is also single story. This one is a 2-story. This is not a split, correct?
Uh-uh.
All right. How is this? But this doesn't look like it's one of the.
The carriage homes, yeah, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's a larger lot, and that one looks like it backs to a pond.
Yeah, it does. You can see the water in the back. So
how is that always, like, how do you price for that? Is that always, if it doesn't have a fence and you have young kids, that might be a negative?
Yep.
But you can always buy a fence easy enough.
Right. And you use, that's where they can't algorithm our jobs away from us. That's because you have to think of, you have to reverse engineer who is your buyer. That's the most important thing in pricing, is who is your buyer. So if you have a single story house, you're probably, especially in a carriage community where the HOA is cutting the lawn, you're probably going to an empty nester. So is the empty nester care about the pond in the backyard? No, they love it. But if you're selling a 2-story and it's got a pond in the backyard and it's got 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, and you're probably selling somebody's first or second home, and they probably have kids. You can't assume that, but that's a pretty good assumption. And you go, is the pond going to help or hurt? And then that is personal preference. So, does the house have a pool? Well, I have 2 small kids and I'm looking for a house with a pool right now. Some people, that scares the crap out of them. So, it's a variable, but I don't put too much weight in it.
Okay, so generally, I would guess when the builder sold these lots, that the pond lots probably sold higher when he was selling them originally to build on. They were probably considered a premium lot, I would think.
Yep.
So does that typically give that house more weight since?
Makes it sell faster.
Okay.
Makes it sell faster, makes it sell for maybe a little bit more. I would still price it the same.
Okay.
And let the market bring you more money.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
okay.
So this one has that kind of carriage style. Oh, it's 5-level split. You're fired. So, it takes time. This takes time. You have to really go in and dig in and really find the comps, because right now I've only got one good comp. I mean, in my opinion. So now I can go back to, sorry, the Zoom stuff's in my way. Let's go back here and see what comps that the algorithm used. Because sometimes you don't have the benefit of matching apples to apples. Sometimes you have to throw an orange in there. This went over a mile, or let's see, This one's right down the street. This one's a little bit further. So was Little Rock? Yeah, it was in here. Wait, it's not the same house. $658. So I don't even see that in here. And it's a 5-level split.
So I don't know if I made a mistake, but I looked at what was currently actively also either, contingent or active for the neighborhood and kind of
Yep.
used some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that at the too?
I do. I'm trying to get to my number.
Okay.
And then this is you're constantly trying to tell a story. So now what I just did is I clicked on here. I said, well, what houses sold that gave the RPR that number? And I see Little Rock. Well, you know what I did? I went back in and I typed this in, and guess what? Eric Briggs was lazy and didn't put the subdivision in there. So this didn't come up in my search. So that's another thing that you need to recognize, is that real estate agents are lazy, or sometimes they just don't know that it's Millstone Creek. So they left it out. So if you're doing a search like we did, which was based on Millstone Creek, it didn't come up. So how you get around that is you go closed, subtype, single family, school district, Westerville, and then Millstone Creek. Shoot. And now I'm going to grab my polygon tool here and go, well, I can't trust subdivision. Okay. And then I'm going to go here and undo Millstone Creek. Now we go from 16 to 21. So now we just got more comps. So then the other thing I could do is style and go 2-story. Now we've narrowed down. But these all look more single family houses rather than your carriage style, correct? Wouldn't you agree?
I'm sorry, I had to tell my kids to be quiet.
No, it's okay. I
Sorry.
get it. I said, well, now that we've kind of filtered out into 2-story only,
Okay.
it looks like we're getting more traditional family houses rather than that carriage product that you're trying to sell,
Okay.
right?
that or just there hasn't, because we've had such low inventory, we just don't have
Yeah,
the
no, right.
the
100%.
data.
So maybe we're going to have to, go back in and go, okay, well, we can't have it exactly like we want it. So I'm going to take out the 2-story and we're going to go back into the list here and say, let's look at something like this one on Little Rock. And is that the one that's the one we used at first that sold in 5 days for $350. So I'm going to bring that one back in, and then let's find another. So this one sold in 4 days for $367, and it was listed for $352. So let's go. I'm going to use this 367 just because I'm trying to, I may sit and do this for, another 15, 20 minutes if I'm not teaching a class, if I'm just, so I'm also trying to kind of get you guys to, just to think more like, in terms of pricing. So this one's a 5-level split. This one sold for $375. Is this comparable?
As far as the interior, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
When I've looked through the interior of these, the MI seemed to do a really nice job with making selections that have definitely held their they're still in style, they're still in demand versus like what I have in my 1998 home. Yeah, it was more of a shorter window.
All right. Well, I'm going to use this one too because I'm trying to find a higher.
Yeah, that looks very similar.
And I mean, it's a split, so it's definitely more house than some of the other ones that we've used, which is why I'm using it, because it's also a higher price, and your subject property is 2,700 square feet, and our second comp only has 1,800 above grade. Now the ATFLS, do you guys know what that means?
Does that mean it's a finished basement? And so
it stands for approximate total finished living space. That's what that stands for. So if you see 1,800 and 1,800 on the second one, it means it's either on a slab foundation or it has a finished basement. So then you look down here and you see basement, yes, description full or partial. So it has a full basement and it's been finished. That's why it's 3212, but we only go on this documented square footage. So based on the fact that it's 1812 and 3212, I go, okay, well, our subject property is 2704. So this kind of works. So that's when you're kind of searching for a comp. Now, if I had my way, I wouldn't use this because I don't think it's the same buyer. But for this purpose, we're going to use it. So right now I've got, a 336, which was honestly our best comp, but our best comp happened last year, pre-COVID, and it sat on the market for 65 days. So could you get more than 636 right now? I'm dyslexic. 336 right now? Absolutely. And And so, and the other comps that we're using tell that story, because we're using a 350, a 367, a 375. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the 4 comps, and I usually use 3 or 4, but I'm going to use 4 today. And I'm going to average those numbers. And that comes out to 357. Okay, so now I have 368, 367, 416, 401, and 357. So I'm going to add all of those numbers together. So that's the number I'm going to show my client. 382,202.
And is that your list price or
Nope. Nope. That's the number I'm going to show them. I'm going to go through everything that I've done with you guys today. And I'm going to go, okay, look at this house. Look at this house. This house sold for this. This house was actually only a 1-story, but they had a finished basement. So we're going to use that. And everything that I've done with you, I'm going to go over with my client. And then I'm going to show them this number, and I am going to highlight the crap out of this number. And I'm going to go, I want you to remember this number, because if we don't sell, this is the, in my years of experience, this is the most probable number that's going to come out of this transaction. And I will tell you that I am within a couple $1,000s of this number every time. However, we're in the Wild West right now. And I'm going to say that to my client, and I'm going to go, and so I want to fight for you. So based on this number, if you can remember this number, and you can remember, we're going to try for more, but I'm going to say this is the most probable outcome. It's not guaranteed, as I don't have a crystal ball, but based on math, this is our number. But let's go ahead and try for either 390 or 399. And that's something that you have to, I would dig more to see the market surrounding the house, how quickly things are selling, you know, and, you know, because we also look through here and we go, has anybody gotten 4? So no.
I think there had been some 4s.
I mean, there's a 4 here, but this is 1,000 square feet more, and it sold 1 day on market. So here you go, 393, 3 days on market. So these are the things that now I'm starting to look at and go, okay, do we price it at 390, 395, 394? Is 399 too aggressive? I don't know. You know, that's something. I haven't been in the house. Like if the house is just Pottery Barn perfect, I might try for 399. Hire a professional photographer, do some killer marketing, and get it out there and And what you have to do is make adjustments quick. If you're not getting the showings and you're not getting offers within the first week, you got it wrong. And you need to have that conversation up front with your client. Say, I'm willing to fight for you. I want you to get the most money possible. So we can try this, but if you try and you get it wrong, you have to make adjustments quick. And you also have to consider that we're going into Christmas. And then after Christmas comes January. Are people still out there? I mean, your buyers are more serious. You don't have a lot of tire kickers, which you don't have a whole lot of tire kickers in COVID anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I would definitely say probably 394 to 399 would be my list price.
Okay.
So where were you?
So I was at 380, 900, hoping to get like 385, 9 or above. And I was kind of hemming with like and hawing with like listing it around 384, 3-ish, something like that, 3 or 384, 5. So I was kind of,
look at that number.
What?
Look at that number. That's your most probable. So you did a good job. I'm taking the market conditions into consideration because, you know, and then the other thing that we haven't looked at is what's on the market.
And can I ask you a couple questions really quick?
Mhm.
One about today, about the comment you just mentioned about Christmas. And
Mhm.
obviously COVID is so unpredictable, but in your experience, what does Christmas do to the market? What does January look like? If they asked you, Jensen, when's that? If I can wait, is it better to do February? Is it better to list this now? I mean, obviously we can't predict, and especially with COVID, we have no idea what's going to happen with unemployment, with
Yeah,
stock market or any of that. We know we have a bird in hand and we know what the market looks like today, and that's about it. You know, but in general,
you answered your own question.
if we looked at the normal market though, and with Christmas upon us, like what typically would you tell a buyer if we weren't going through COVID and the way that that's impacting unemployment and the stock market and stuff like that?
I love selling at Christmas. I tell people, get your tree up, get your wreaths up, make your house look. I mean, my personal house was built in 1991 and it is dated and it's cherry and gold hinges on everything. But I'll tell you what, when my wife gets out the Christmas tree and we get out all the decorations and all of the stuff, my house is so cozy and inviting. And I love my house at Christmas more than I do the rest of the year. So that is a pretty consistent thing. So I'm going to use Christmas to my advantage when I'm listing a house. I'm going to say, set the table like for a big gathering. And I know, you know, DeWine would kick my ass for saying that, but you know, like I want it to feel like family and feel like home. And you've got, you know, the next 20 days to do that. And in this market, you should be able to find a buyer in 20 days. So I'm not going to tell them I'm not going to tell them to wait.
Okay.
January, I've been saying for the last couple of years, February is the new March.
Okay.
But January is, you've got a hangover. You know, you just went through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And you'll only have serious buyers, but will you have as many?
Okay.
So I would probably not list in January. I would list in mid-February.
Okay.
If you don't get it sold in over the holidays. But if you have the listing, I would rocket ship that listing right now.
Okay.
I would tell them, decorate the crap out of the house. Let's get a professional photographer in here. Let's take beautiful photos. Let's make it feel cozy and inviting. And, you know, I think, yeah, I mean, and your numbers here are, you know, that's an accurate number right there. I mean,
What's your feeling on carpet when people say, should I just clean it or should I replace it? If it's neutral, it's got some wear. It's really hard for me to say. I mean, basically, I just said if you're willing to put the money into cleaning it and then you can see how well it comes out, then you can make a determination. But you know, it may cost you a couple $100s to do that, to figure that out. But you know, putting new carpet in, you know, and so like back, I mean, definitely I've seen homes that need all kinds of work and they're going $10,000 above list price. So if everything else looks great, but yeah, carpet, you know, it just has normal wear and tear for the age of the home. What do you tell your sellers? And for this price point?
Well, I mean, right in so here, so let's just talk about the subject. You know, you're in Westerville schools. They're, you know, you can't say that they're good or bad. They're desirable. Nobody has a problem with Westerville. I mean, some people do, but some people have a problem with everything. So it's a cute neighborhood. I know exactly where it is. It's, you know, the proximity to everything is great. We're in such a low inventory market with such high demand. You know, look at what we have on the market right now. So you've got 3 houses in the area, 20 days on market, 2 days on market, 3 days on market. Come on. If your listing looks as good as that I think it does, you're gonna sell in less than 7 days. So I'm looking at this house to go, well, why did this house not sell?
Okay.
I mean, it did sell. It sold in 20 days. And like I said, you've got 20 days to sell it. So I think you're good. And this one priced at $398. And it was 2,400 square feet. So boom. I mean, I would go $399. And that was the feeling that I was getting before we even went into the comps when I said, I think I know what I would list at. I mean, this house is less square footage than yours. And the photos are terrible. The furniture is terrible. I mean, this is not, I assume this is not as nice as your listing. Is that right?
Correct.
And they got $398. Let's see. $398 in 2 days on market. And you're not allowed to come blame me if it doesn't sell, but I'm just telling you based on my experience, and this is what I do. You know, I just talk through it. I talk through it with myself. I talk through it with my client. I try to look at variables. I try to look at what's in contract, what's, you know, I mean, there's nothing on the market. This Woodbend Drive is the only one that's kind of on the market because it's contingent escape. So there's a home sale contingency.
So what does the difference on, I guess I'm curious on I'm not even 100% what contingent escape means compared.
It means that there's a way that it's usually 100% of the time. I mean, not 100, but 90% of the time it means that the buyer is selling their house and they can't afford to buy this house without selling their house. So they're in contract, like the seller has said, okay, we'll accept your home sale contingency. We're going to give you 30 days to sell your house. But if somebody comes along and like, so I have a buyer and they want to be in Millstone Creek and I'm like, sorry, there's nothing available in Millstone Creek. I'm going to pull up I'm going to do a search for contingent escape, and I'm going to go, oh, well, this house, let's go look at this house. And I'm going to schedule a showing, and we're going to go see it. Well, my buyer doesn't have a house to sell. So now I come in, I offer $359,900, and the person that was in contract now gets kicked out, and my client takes over and is now the buyer.
Okay. So
You can kick people out of their contract if there's an escape.
okay.
And that escape clause is for the seller to be able to continue to show the house and sell it to somebody else while the other person is trying to sell their house, because they can't execute the purchase without selling their house.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That helps a lot.
So that's pretty much my pricing strategy. And it would be way easier if, we were all in a classroom and I could write all these numbers on the board instead of on a yellow scratch pad right here, because this is how I generally price a house, is by either I print stuff and I highlight stuff and I circle stuff, and I'm asking myself questions. Why did this sell fast? Why didn't this sell? It's not black and white. It's 100%. And I think we've gone through that in this last hour or so. Is it's teaching yourself how to think and looking at all the variables around the neighborhood and the house, and just going, well, why did that sell? And how does this look compared to this? And is this one, a ranch or a 2-story or a Cape Cod? And so once you learn how to think about pricing, you can get your clients off of the price per square foot, which there are so many real estate agents that all they know is price per square foot. So I hope that today I gave you a little more, and we could even go deeper into, okay, well, what is a finished basement worth? And if it's unfinished, do we deduct or how, it's.
I would love that, especially if you were to say, if someone said to you, Jensen, what do I do to my house if I want top dollar? What would you say? I'm willing to put some money in if you think it will pay off for me. So that kind of stuff would be so helpful. The other question I have is specific to this listing. If you are hemming and hawing, you're like, well, should I list it for $389, hoping for $385, or should I list it at $385, hoping for $9? Is it better to kind of pick like a mid-range number and go lower and try to get a feeding frenzy going?
Yeah, always. I mean, the lower you go, the faster it's going to sell, obviously. Sometimes if I'm not 100% confident, I go back to that 382 number and I go, this is my price.
Okay.
You want to put it on the market for 382? Let's go. You want me to fight for more? Every dollar we go up, we are gambling.
Okay.
So 382 is not a gamble, in my opinion. Every dollar above 382 is a gamble. However, that's when you arm yourself with more data, which I'm looking at 732 Mill Crossing.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that sucker sold for $398 in 2 days. So do I want to be the hero? Yeah, I do. So I go, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my number's 382. I'm willing to fight for you. And here is what I'm looking at. Now, it's a 5-level split. It's a lot of house. So, is that why it sold in 2 days? How does your, did you say you do or don't have a finished basement? You don't have a finished basement.
I do not have a finished basement, but they're only, this is less square footage than my listing.
Right.
Because I'm 2704.
Right. So, I don't know. Could you throw some carpet and drop ceiling in the basement for 10 grand and call it a finished basement and get $399? Is it worth that to your clients? I don't know. I mean, these are conversations that you have, you know?
Okay.
I mean, because yeah, you can do, but like I'm also not a contractor, like, so I can't price stuff off the top of my head. Like, could you do a basement for 10 grand? Yeah, but it's gonna look like really shitty. So like, you know, I don't know. Is it more like 15? Are you really getting that much more? Would it be
In
better
this
to,
market, like even just going over with a fresh coat of paint,
right,
is that even necessary right now?
in the basement?
Anywhere, like especially in the first living area, you know, if the paint colors aren't gaudish, and they don't look like, you know, my kids have been around,
No,
you know, it
I've
looks like
told,
adult living, not kid living. You know, and they're neutral. There might be a room or two that may not be someone's particular taste, but they're not off. You know, I is that worth somebody?
not really. Not
Okay,
right now. Not right now. I mean, I tell people right now, I'll come into your house, take a steaming dump in your living room, and I'll still sell your house.
okay.
It's just crazy out there right now. I mean, look at this. We've got an active contingent, canceled, whatever. All of the options are selected, and only 3 come up, and they're all gone.
Yeah,
I mean, you put that house on the market, it's going to sell.
yeah.
And if you put it on for $399 and somebody offers you $394, well, remind your clients that the number was 382, 202. I just got you another 10 grand. The market will tell you. The market will tell you in the first 10 days whether you got it right.
Okay.
And so you got to make fast adjustments if you're fighting for top dollar. Now, also at top dollar, that's when we do start to get into fresh coat of paint, clean the carpets, declutter. You know the subject property better than I do. So if you think it's Pottery Barn perfect, I go $399.
Okay.
If it's got scuffed walls and they have bad taste in furniture, go $390. But
So yeah, and I would say it's an excellent condition, but yeah, the painting, I mean, it could be done, but it's not like you wouldn't walk in and go, boy, this could really use a fresh coat of paint or anything like that. And definitely, again, I think cleaning the carpet will help a lot, but does he really need to replace it? I mean, if it comes out well from the carpet cleaning, I would think it would, just because of the inventory and all that, I think he'd still get top dollar for it.
yeah, I mean, this is a hard class to teach right now because of the inventory crisis. It's like, but my neighbor is a FISBO right now, and I've already talked to her about selling, and she's just, I would list my house right now at 370 something. And her house is half the size of my house. It's a ranch. It's half the size of my house, Formica countertops, terrible photos, and she has it priced at 410. So, I mean, you can't just make up prices, which is what she did.
Yeah.
And she's getting no showings and it's not selling. And I've watched her have like a painter come over and touch up a few things, but it doesn't matter. If you get the price wrong, your house will not sell. But with where we're at on your property, I'm in Reynoldsburg, so there's never been a ranch sell for $400,000 in the history of Reynoldsburg. So she just doesn't know her market. She doesn't know what she's doing. Eventually she'll give up, and I hope she comes next door and has me help her,
Yeah.
but she's not going to like my numbers. So
So
I
I
already,
had a friend also who put on Facebook that she was listing her home, and I thought she had it way too low, and I thought she would net so much more because she would have a feeding frenzy and people would bid up for that house that, it'd be, I think she would net more paying commissions than she would
Mhm.
by selling it on her own, thinking that she was saving on the commission. I was really, yeah, surprised, but she was dead set. And then I think she went with some kind of like discount broker where she gets listed on the MLS. But yeah, and I mean, I talked to her about like, I mean, I didn't talk to her that much, but I just said, hey, like in today's market too, like um, the gap appraisal coverage, you need some idea of what you can expect.
Yeah,
You need to know what you in the driver's seat, as far as remedies and things like that. But anyway, I mean, I
no,
definitely
it's
understand.
hard. FISBOs are really, really hard because they think they know. They just think they know. And so I generally will not go after a fresh FISBO because they think they've got it all figured out. And so I wait until they have been tortured enough to then come in and talk to them, which is what I'm letting I know my neighbor's not going to sell where she's at. So I'm kind of laughing at her and just letting her torture herself. And then when she's really ready to sell it, I'd be happy to help her.
Well, having my first experience with a FISBO, I've never ever had such an appreciation for having another realtor on the other end of the transaction.
100%. Yeah.
To say, it's so hard to get my buyer and client, though. I mean, in contract, it was, and I just happened to run into this person while they were walking their dog while I was showing another home. We started chatting, and we were able to work out buying their home. That was that 1329 Eveline.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this was an anomaly in that the husband had been a builder. He had remodeled the home, and he didn't update the home. He actually remodeled it. So when you walk in, it's a very attractive for this, 1959 home that, they look, like grandma's, ranch. And you walk in and now it's eye popping for a millennial because it's, got a whole different floor plan and it's beautiful. It's just visually attractive. But it's still at the end of the day, and they did finish the basement and put egress windows. So could he actually take the square footage and use it as documented square footage, or would it still have to be the
It would be
a,
ATFLS.
okay, even though okay.
Yeah,
And
because it's below grade.
okay.
The only time you'll get away with using it is if it's a walkout.
And how do you determine if it okay? Now, what if like in the front it's not, but the back it is? Is that still
It's a walkout.
okay? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, of course. All right. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. So, so then if it's a walkout, it could be all
It could be documented.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you say walkout, some older homes, you walk out and there's like a concrete pad and you go up some concrete steps. That's not the same. I think you and I are envisioning a sliding glass door.
No, I mean, I think that can be considered a walkout. Like if you don't have to go upstairs to get out of the house, that is a walkout.
Okay, this you would in some of these older homes where you open the patio, there's a storm door and you open it up and then you go up.
Yeah, that's not a walkout. That's
Okay.
that's a tornado shelter. Is that what you're talking about? The big crazy doors that you have to swing open?
No. I mean, it's just like walking out to your, like if you had a garage door to get to your garage, but instead you walk out and there's like a concrete pad, usually with a drain in it, and you just walk up a couple concrete steps and then you're in your backyard.
So like this.
So it could be a separate living entrance, if you wanted to rent that space out or use it as an Airbnb or whatever. It can be totally private if they have their own stuff down there.
So this listing.
Oh wow.
Is I'll get to the basement here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that in Ballantree?
No, it's actually in Pickerington. So this basement, you see the sliding doors here?
Yes.
This is a walkout.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see if I've got.
Is that your listing?
Yeah.
So how long has that been on the market, and how long does a home like that? So I don't know what your list price is. That's absolutely beautiful.
It is 1.250.
Okay.
And we've been on
I
the market
clearly
for
need to
3
sell
months.
more houses.
So, and it's been on the market how long? Since
3
August.
months. Yeah.
So what are you anticipating? How long will it take to sell that home?
Well, in Pickerington, so right now in this development, there are quite a few million and multi-million dollar homes, but most of them are being bought or being built. So there's not a whole lot of it was hard and kind of easy to price this house. I mean, we're looking at a total finished of 10,000 square feet. So I mean, at 130 a square, that's 1.3 million dollars, which is where we started, which is not out of line for Pickerington. It's just a lot of house. So you're looking for somebody that needs a lot of house. So we've had 3 very interested buyers, and we're still highly engaged with 2. So I don't know. I mean, we're trying to get it sold by the holiday, by Christmas. So, but if not, then we'll probably take it off the market for a month or so and then come back on in the spring, and we'll reset the days on market and try to get new engaged buyers. But at one point, this house in New Albany would sell quickly. It's also location. So there's not a ton of $1 million homes in Pickerington. So people have a little bit of sticker shock. This one this is in Westerville, and this house is on 2 acres. It's surrounded by water, but my dumbass client went in and gutted the interior because he was going to remodel the whole thing. And so now when people go to see it, there's no inside. So I've left that out, and it has caused my phone to ring constantly. But this would very easily sell for $1 million had he not ripped out the interior of the house. So again, it's just
Okay.
location.
So is it studs or is there drywall? What?
It's studs. He took it down to the studs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful home though. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a lot of attention on it, because of, obviously I caught it just in the nick of time with the leaves. I literally had a listing appointment and was out there the next day flying my drone around going, I got to get photos before all these leaves blow off the trees. So
now, since you're a photographer, it might be different, but what would somebody listing a home in $1 million price range, investment wise, need to be putting into a house as the listing agent?
I would expect to spend $500 to $1,000 in marketing.
Okay.
I mean, why not? You're going to make, hopefully 30. So, and again, like for me, like, am I going to take $1 million gutted property? Hell yeah. Cause I'm now listing $2 million homes, and that's just not me selling the house. That's me selling me, so, that I don't like to take overpriced listings, which I don't think either of them are. When agents go, well, how do you justify, $1 million for a gutted house? I said, go find 2 acres surrounded by water somewhere else in Columbus, and then come back to me and tell me I'm overpriced.
On the Hoover, I mean, there's not
Right.
that many
Right.
homes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I mean, that's a dream because there's limited inventory anyway, because
Right.
there's only so much shoreline and only so much on that side of the marine, of the dam. And that's a very unique looking home. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I'll show you what else I did for the home. So I'll share my screen here again, not to get off of, actually, not to get off topic of pricing, but when it comes to marketing, it's selling yourself as well, and you want to you have to do this kind of stuff. This is becoming expected in our industry.
But you designed this yourself, the video?
I did. I hired a guy that came and helped because I can't film myself.
Welcome to my newest listing. This is one of the most secluded properties in all of Columbus. Welcome to your own private island. This is 9063 Oakwood Point.
I struggled with not showing the interior because I knew people were going to go, well, what's it look like inside? Well, it looks like nothing inside. But I'm trying to, I'm selling the best part of the house.
Can you not put signs up at near the water's edge?
It just depends on where you are.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't have any signs on this property, but I don't care because I put that video out and 5,000 people watched that video in the first weekend. So 5,000 people saw my name, my listing, my brand.
So the reason I say that is because I never thought I'd really want to live on the lake, but then when I'm out on my kayak and then I'm, or paddle boarding or in a boat and I see those homes and the peace and tranquility that it offers, I start thinking, you know what? Maybe at some point in my life, if I could ever afford it, if I were to live anywhere, I think I would really love a lake home. I think I'd love it. And then people say like, well, how much do you think this home is worth that I'm kayaking with or whatever. But I think sometimes when people see it and think, oh my God, we could buy one of these, because these are the outdoor enthusiasts that are, experiencing that home. And there's just like this like love affair that happens. And they think, oh my God, like, I wonder just, and then, so I think it'd be kind of cool to have a sign out there because I could really see how somebody, would see that sign when they're enjoying the water. And
I sold the house across the river or across the bay to the Roush family back in 2014, I think. And I sold it and it was 2 acres and it has a dock and I sold it to him for $420,000. So yeah, it's attainable. Now it was a different market then. And my clients did not keep their house up very well. It was very dirty. They did not listen to me very well as it pertains to prepping the house for market. That's another part of this business where you really have to be ginger because everybody's. I'm very OCD, and everybody's perception of what is clean and decluttered is completely different. So, I told my clients they need to clean the house and they said, oh, we did. And I'm like, really? So unfortunately, the market told us that they didn't clean their house and we ended up selling the house for, he wanted $550 and we ended up selling it for $420. So, and now I'm sure it's gorgeous. And they bought it as their second home, but in Columbus, just to do what you're saying, be on the water, tranquil, have kayaks and boats and cookouts, family gatherings.
Wow.
So yeah, no, and my phone has just been nonstop since I put that on the market at $1 million.
That's fantastic.
It'd be better if I got an offer. Well, I got offers, but they weren't $1 million. So my client's like, no. So
And that's like with listing the waterfront homes, you did say you're going to take it off the market at some point soon.
at some point we're going to take it off the market, and he's going to finish the inside, and we're going to put it back on the market for $2 million.
Now, if it were finished, would you still take it off the market and wait just because, obviously it seemed, I mean, I don't know about obviously, I have no idea, but I would think a lakefront home would have a lot of demand.
It already sold. If it was finished, it would have already sold.
Okay. Okay.
So I wouldn't be taking it off the market. I'd be marking it sold.
Okay.
The only reason it's not sold right now is because the inside is gutted and people don't have vision.
Okay. Now, is that because of the location? Because it's a lakefront home?
Yep.
Because I just don't know enough about homes in that price point to know how long.
It's the waterfront. If they were across the street, house would be worth 4 to 6.
No, when you say across the street, do you mean Sunbury Road?
No, I mean just back behind the house, like on the other side of the street. If they were in the, if they weren't on water.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, still back there is still desire. The subdivision's called Lake of the Woods, and everything back there is in high demand.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So when you price the house and you get them to sign that listing agreement,
Mhm.
can you touch on on that agreement a little bit?
How so?
Let me see if I have one in front of me. There was one, like, okay, so maybe handling an objection about like exclusive right to sell,
Mhm.
or there's a thing in there. So when it lists, gosh, sorry, let me pull my.
Here, I can pull one up. Here.
Okay.
I have a quick question about listing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've been shown how to, how I'm going to put it into the MLS and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the showing time form in my listing packet, we filled it out. How do I translate that into actually being usable?
You actually go to showing time and fill out their form, or call them so that they have your client's information. So let me see here. I'm just gonna add a listing agreement.
Okay, I thought it might just have to be done in showing time, but I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's, and I'm happy to answer that kind of, a question like that, because this is, I mean, that's the thing that people you aren't told.
If you have any upcoming, I mean, anything, listing, buyer, open house, any appointments, I would love to shadow you if you are up for it.
Okay, sure. So
I as well.
So here's the contract. We'll just go over this really quick. Seller hereby grants to, this would be Keller Williams, Greater Columbus, and I would generally say Keller Williams, Greater Columbus, and then put my name in after. The start date through the expiration. Then you put the address here, and then you're willing. This is your list price right here. The date it's going to be added to the MLS with clear cooperation. If you don't have an office exclusive or a delayed entry into the MLS, it would have to be within 1 day of signing this. And then the showing start date to be whenever you want to start showing it. We now have a coming soon in the MLS. So you would put that whenever you were going to be done with the coming soon, you would put that date there. Seller hereby agrees to pay brokerage a fee of 6%. That's 3 to the buyer, 3 to the seller. That's what we try to do. You will compensate other brokers as subagents. I always say no. Buyer's broker, yes. Don't ask me to explain what a subagent is because I'm not exactly sure. I just know I always say no, and I want to co-op with buyer brokers.
My mentor gave me a decent explanation on subagents.
What was that?
It would be like the admins and the office staff that work for the buyer's broker or agent that work on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just always say no. So, protection period. Do you guys understand what that is?
Yes.
Okay. And yes or no to lockbox. Oh, this is all new. The surveillance devices. And then, is there any questions on this? Amendments, you can put exclusions in here. Sometimes, I'll get, well, my neighbor really likes my house and he said he was going to buy it. So if he buys it, or if somebody says, well, my neighbor's going to buy my house. So I'm like, okay, great. Well, wouldn't you like to get more money for your house? Well, yeah, of course. Well, okay, so if you list with me and I can get you more money, but if your neighbor ends up buying it, we'll put an exception that you don't have to pay me a commission. And so you'd put that in here in section 15. And just exclude, Earl Chuckwagon, next door neighbor, from, being paid, from me earning a commission because I didn't bring that buyer. So I guess that's the contract. If you guys have any questions.
So if they reduce the price, do you sign an amendment?
No.
Addendum?
No.
Okay.
No, you use the you're gonna go in here and use the residential worksheet and data correction form. So if you've ever seen this before, this is you're for compliance reasons, you're supposed to completely fill this out. And then at the bottom, this is, you can extend the contract, go back on the market, canceled. You would also, where is there a spot for, I'm not very good about doing this. If my client says lower the price by $5,000, I say, tell me in an email, and I get that email and print it off and put it in my file or save it in a file. That's good enough for me because I have the client's authorization in writing. Does that make sense? But this
Okay.
is how you're supposed to do it.
And Jensen, in this crazy market, I've actually seen people increase the price. Now, sometimes it's during the listing period before it's in contract, and sometimes it's after. And I imagine they're doing that trying to, trick the appraiser. But as far as being, I mean, I don't know if you could touch on both of those if they're worth doing. But yeah, I'm seeing
No.
that where people
It's
are
terrible.
raising a price $10,000.
Terrible practice, and I wish it was. I don't know if it's legal or not. That would be a Mick or a Mark question. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They're raising the price because they went into contract higher, and they're, you know, it's just stupid. I would not do it.
Okay.
Setting yourself up for failure.
You
'Cause
mean
what
for trying
happens
to
if it
trick the
doesn't?
appraiser?
What happens if it doesn't appraise?
Okay.
You know, and now you have to go back on the market. You know, and you look like you did a, price reduction, and well, what's wrong with it? It's just, I don't know. I just think it's a terrible practice.
Okay. And then what about when people have been on the market a week and then they drive it up, they're not in contract and they raise the price $10,000? What are your thoughts on that?
It's just probably because they were like, holy crap. They, maybe felt like they underpriced their house. Which I've never done that. I try to price it correctly and then let the market tell me that they are willing to pay more. But
So is the interpretation that they're getting offers that are in hand, they're maybe getting them 10,000 above list price. Now they're saying, hey, let's see if we jump this up 10,000. Now let's see if people are giving us 10,000 above list price.
I
So we can,
guess, I don't know. They probably have stupid realtors.
okay. I mean, it just seems risky. It seems risky to me.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. It's dumb practice. It's not smart.
Because once you have a bird in hand, then you can close that contract. But if you
don't have to accept anything.
So
I've had offers where, my list price is X, and I would just say, no, they really want to get this, and if you want it, offer that, and then they do, and then we're in contract.
So if they offer list price, you don't have to accept it if you don't have competing offers?
You never have to accept anything.
Okay.
Now you have to probably give some sort of reason why, or else you could be, there could be some fair housing practices that you're going to get your ass kicked for. So
when you have a listing, do you let your buyer agents know that you have multiple offers? Like, how do you handle that situation to get the best price for your seller?
So I don't play games. I don't do highest and best. I do the best. And sometimes I don't have 100% of the control because my clients will say, well, we want a bidding war. I'm like, well, what are you trying to bid to? So I will look at, and this is why your relationships with other agents is huge. Who's the agent on the other end? And this is something that, you're going to have to strive to get to because of, both of your time in the market it sucks being a new agent because, now that I've been in the business for 12, 13 years, I have repeat clients. I have people referring me, and I can say, oh, I've been in the business for over 10 years. When you're a newer agent, you can't lie. But a big thing that you should do, and I was told to the contrary, is to get involved and go to your the market that you want to be in and join the realtor association, like the New Albany Realtor Association or the Gahanna, or wherever you want to specialize in, and go on tour and tour the houses and meet the other agents and go, because when you get into a multiple offer situation, I've been on both ends where I've cherry picked the agent that I want to work with on the other end, and vice versa. I've beat out other agents because the agent on the other end knew me and they were like, well, I want to work with him. I don't know this other person. So that's huge in this market. And that's also your reputation. So, you know, you mouth off to agents and you act a certain way, they're going to remember you. I have a black book of agents that I know I may wait a long time to get back to them for a showing request. I know I'm going to pick anyone other than them in a multiple offer situation, you know, because they've shown their ass, and that's just how this business works. I know we all think it's black, you know, we like to think that maybe it's black and white, but it's absolutely not. So your reputation is everything. You always do the right thing, and just make friends with other agents. I was told that other agents, you know, agents that go to those tours and do all the, like they've got nothing better to do, and they're crappy agents. And now that I've started getting involved, and this is actually since I've come to KW, is I'm like, wow, no, I actually am doing a lot better because I do have relationships with other agents, and I'm getting involved, and you always have something to learn from other people, you know? So that would be my advice. Well, we're about at 12. So you guys have any other questions?
Thank you so much. This really helps a lot. And I feel like sometimes with training, the more I get into things, the more training I realize I need, you know, and a lot of things, it just, yeah, it helps. It really does. So I appreciate you sharing.
No, this is a big one. This pricing thing is a big one. I can't stress it enough. And it's not easy. That's what I mean. I don't know. Maybe that's why there's not a lot of classes on it. It's not easy. And the way I just did it isn't the way other people do it. So everybody's got their own way of pricing. I just show, you know, like I looked at the teaching materials and I went, well, I don't know what this means. This isn't how I do it. So I'm just going to show you guys how I do it. And, you know, and I think you kind of got the grasp of, you know, I kind of mill things over and I run lots of reports, and the main thing is definitely when you get to that kitchen table with your clients is setting expectations of, it's not going to be easy. Agents are going to book an appointment and they're not going to show up. You know, this is the price that I think that is the most likely sale price, but I want to fight for more money. But as long as you remember this is the price, then we can come back to that number, you know, if we need to. So
do you let in on that question about multiple offers, you will let other agents know if there are multiple offers, and you will allow escalation clauses? And then are you basically saying, you know, coaching them about gap coverage, you know?
I mean, I feel like if I'm working with an agent on the other end that knows what they're doing, we don't have to have those conversations. I'm, you know, I don't care one way or the other about escalation clauses. I know a lot of agents are just saying no escalation clauses now. You know, again, like I said, I don't do highest and best. I want you to bring your best offer. And if your best offer is we're going to waiver remedy, we're going to provide $5,000 in gap coverage, and we're going to be 15,000 over list, then that's your best offer. You know, how bad do you want the house? A lot of people have been complaining this year about, you know, oh, I show all these houses and then I write all these offers and then none of them get accepted. I mean, I mean, honestly, I've I haven't had that problem because I call and I talk to the agent on the other end and I go, hey, I'm sending you an offer. What do you want to see? That's how this business works. What do you want to see? How do you want me to write it? You want me to waive remedy? You know, like what's going to make it easiest on your client? And so, you know, that's where I go back to the whole relationship thing. It's about building good relationships with other agents. And I will say that I've won a lot of deals by being at Keller Williams too, because Keller Williams agents want to work with other Keller Williams agents. So if I can say something good about the brokerage, that's been a big asset as well.
I know my buyer, the first property I thought of when she told me was one that another agent owns. She's actually my neighbor as well. So, but I texted her, I'm like, hey, this is going to fit right into what my buyer wants. And so, she made sure I had the details, and I mean, I love her anyway, but it was helpful.
Who's that?
Shauna Overcash.
She's on my team.
Oh, well, I adore her. She's my neighbor.
Do you live on Cleveland?
Yeah.
I'll be over there.
Our kids play together.
I'll be over there in a couple minutes. So I'm shooting a listing on Cleveland in a couple hours. So I do a little bit of freelance photography for other agents. And so I'm shooting one for a broker actually, that I just co-opted with about a month or so ago. So yeah, no, Shauna's awesome. She's a
Yeah,
sweetie.
she is. How much do you charge to kind of help out with photography? Because I'm gonna need this condo photographed.
Depending on where I generally I have a flat fee, which is $150, and that usually includes drone too. Legally, I can't charge for drone, so I just say it's $150, and I'll do, aerial photography included in the package, because I don't have my Part 107 FAA certification yet. So,
Does that have music?
what's that?
Does it have music?
My drone?
When you
No,
produce?
it's just photos. I don't.
Okay.
I'm not editing videos for 150. That's a lot more involved.
Okay. So to do something like that for a home for music editing.
So like the video I showed you,
Mhm.
I would budget about $500
Okay.
to do that.
And what do you recommend in general for doing a piece like that? Like what price point would you?
I do it at all price points, but that's because I have that ability. So I've had my clients at 150 go, you made us feel just like one of your $1 million listings. I'm like, well, that's the deal. That's what I want people to feel. I want every price point to feel the same, and that helps me when I get into those 150, 200, 250. Like, oh yeah, well, you're gonna get a virtual tour, with Matterport. You're gonna get video. You're gonna get aerials. You're gonna, it's like there's no price point that I feel like it's a cutoff. And if you talk to Sarah Marty, who does a lot of business in Reynoldsburg, all her clients, she's spending $500 on videos for her $200,000 listings, and she gets more $200,000 listings. Well, the commission's $6,000, so she's getting more and she's promoting herself as well by being in the videos. So it's hard because it takes money to make money in this business. I am constantly accused of having every toy, every new camera and drone and whatever, but yeah, and it's all tax deductible, and I have it, and I figure out how to use it. I've never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones. I sit in YouTube what's the best lens and how to light a room and how to do nighttime photography and, you know, and reading specs on new drones that are coming out. And, you know, I that's where I put my, you know, it's kind of my thing too. You know, it's like, it's my hobby as well as my career. So.
So Jensen, if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying, well, in the seller's market, it may not take a $500 music video to sell the home, but what it is doing is it's showing other people who might want to consider you as an agent that you do things professionally, and they think, wow, I'd like my home marketed in the way that she markets homes,
100%.
and it's getting some name recognition. So
Yep.
it's more of an investment in your brand and in your reputation than in selling this particular home in a sense. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, the
Okay.
video that I showed you guys, 5,000 views in 48 hours. 5,000 people saw me drive my car down the street. It's in this to this beautiful lot and fly around the home and saw that I listed $1 million house.
Okay.
So whether I sell that house or not, I don't care. I just got 5,000 and it's still out there. And now I can use it in my next listing presentation, you know? So it's and anybody that says, if I'm up against another agent and they say, well, do you do Facebook marketing and Instagram marketing and do you do videos and whatever? If I say, yeah, I do that, and they're, well, the other person that I just talked to said they did that too. I go, well, let's look at their YouTube channel. Let's look at mine. Let's see how, and so you're also adding to the catalog. And I say, well, they only do it at a certain price point, and I do it at every price point.
Mm.
So that's where I wouldn't be choosy with, you know, how I market a property. I mean, if a property sucks, like, you know, am I going to do a video? Well, we'll see. I mean, the video I showed you, that house sucks. I mean, it's got nothing inside. It doesn't even have walls. So, but you got to figure out, you know, how to sell it. If the outside's trashed, you know, sell the inside. You got to figure out what's the most desirable part of a listing and focus on that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump off here, but it was
Thank
nice
you.
to talk to you guys, and hopefully you got something out of this.
Could I get your contact information?
Sure.
Same.
Yeah, I'll email you both when we hang up here.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes,
Well, you guys have a
perfect. Thank you.
great day and have an awesome weekend. I guess it's Friday, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll start to forget what day it is when you get really busy.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
good day.
You too.